time I buy that. So you be my date on Saturday?
That's what I was trying to ask you about.
What?
That's what I was trying to ask you about.
About what?
Like, where do you want to bring them? What movie theater do you want to bring them to?
Why don't you just drop them off around the corner? Cherry Hill Mall. You don't have to go there. What's it gonna cost, like $30 for them to go to the movie?
A Cherry Hill Traveler. I'll look it up.
They go there at night.
Jamaica, any specific part?
Negril.
Negril?
Yeah, let's do Negril.
Why, did you hear good things about Negril?
Well, that's supposed to be like the party. Plus, everybody loves Jamaica anyway.
What's not to love?
I gotta do something for my mom. She got a 50th birthday coming up.
She wants to have a party, I think.
She said that?
She wants something in.
What, she said that too?
Pretty much.
We have like a black and red affair. Like, because that's our favorite color.
Red's her favorite.
Dang, everybody tired.
They don't know if they're where they're at. A lot of them just say Jamaica. Where were we saying Jamaica that time? The Grand Palladium?
Grand Palladium, yeah.
Might be a different one because it didn't look as nice as this. Yeah, it wasn't this one. Here.
Where you going? Where you going? Can you bring my charger in, Aaron? When you come back? Don't go following your mom. Go get the phone. Come here. Got something for the asses. Hold on. Yo, what are you doing? Give me it. Come here. Come here. Get over here. Get over here. Come here. Walk over here. Walk. See this? No touch. You hear me? Do you hear me? Do you understand? No touch. No.
You know what the funny thing is? When he didn't have the ball. I think he looked more southpaw. The dog that it's in his hands every possession allows him to feel the pass route.
Good shot. Let's go, Ben. Right at him. There we go. Good taste. Going to James. I saw. Oh, he messed it. That's cash. He ain't messing up. Ooh. Let's go, Benjamin. Good shot. Yo, what the fuck? That's cash. That ain't his game. Take. Rebel. No job. Can't deal with you. Baseline. Play him to the baseline. Day. That's all. Rebail. Oh, that's not a foul? That's cash. Get out, get out, get out. Ah, get still. Get that shit out of there. Why? What?
Hey everyone, welcome into another edition of the Woj Pod. My guest today, Jared Dudley of the Phoenix Suns. We had a wide-ranging chat, hit on everything going on in the NBA. I think you're going to enjoy listening to it as much as I did visiting here with Jared. So let's get right to it. Jared Dudley. Welcome into Jared Dudley of the Phoenix Suns. Jared is out getting ready for the Suns training camp, the start of his 11th NBA season in Phoenix. Jared, how are you doing today, man?
I'm excited. I'm very excited for this one. I don't think we've ever done anything together, and I know I've always wanted to, so when I got the phone call, I had to make this happen.
No, I appreciate you checking in, Jared. So your Twitter account, at Jared Dudley 619, which is San Diego area code, right? Is that why the 619?
Yes.
Now, is there a secret Jared Dudley account that you take on fans with, defend yourself, or is there just... You do that on your real account, right? You don't need a secret one, or do you use one?
Yeah. No, I do it on my real account just because I'm definitely conscious of what I say, but I'm a firm believer in being honest, being open, and letting people know who the real you are. So I don't need to hide behind an account or do different things. I know the KD situation is kind of funny, so I'm just like you guys. I follow it just like a fan.
Maybe KD has a secret one, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Only he knows. It looks like he probably does, but you know what? Like, I don't know. But is that common with guys?
No.
Okay.
It's not NBA guys. It's not common at all. Because on the Twitter, I mean, guys are using it to brand themselves, to do whatever, so you can be able to get in contact with anyone. If I want to do an interview with you, it's easy for me to get in contact with you. I don't need to... Whatever I say towards you, sometimes I've seen guys go through DMs to maybe bash fans instead of saying it for hundreds of people. But nowadays, fans can just screenshot and put it on there. So it's best to stay out in public. If you want to troll them in front of everyone and then move on.
Yeah. Your Twitter account, this will be your 11th year in the league. As I think back, I can't think of many guys, if any at all, who figured out social media sooner than you did as a player. And you started interviewing teammates in Phoenix. When you think back to, you were in Charlotte and then traded to Phoenix very early in your career, were there really players using Twitter at that time the way you started to use it when you think back to them?
Not really. I remember for me, Shaq was the first one that made me even find out about Twitter. He was the one that got caught tweeting during halftime and made a big ordeal. And I think the NBA put a rule in, no tweeting during time. And I would ask him, because we sat next to each other on the plane, and I used to gamble, and he'd be in the back making beats. And I would talk to him about it. He was just telling me it's a form of platform on social media where you can talk to anyone that has an account, branding yourself, different companies. And for me, I looked at it as a way where I could interact with fans. So early on, you're right, I was interviewing Steve and Maury and Shaq on the bus and on the planes. I would give away tickets to fans. That wasn't anything. So I kind of mold myself. This is who I am on and off the court.
You were like the first man of the people player on social media.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, and for me, it's like I joke around with people who have media, have analysts, because I kind of know what I wanted to do when I'm done retiring. And getting into media or coaching is definitely at the top of those lists. So why not show people? And it was because of my Twitter where I basically got on First Take. And I tweeted at Skip Bayless and ESPN, and that's when I got to be able to come in and do the car wash. And people were hitting me on DMs, come do interviews where I could wow, I could really use this to help myself in the future. And that's when I really took it and took off with it.
You said I want to go back to one thing you said. When you'd be gambling in the back of a plane when you were a young player, did you lose more money gambling as a young player than you did as a veteran once you really started to make money?
No, because on the teams I played for, it was never a lot of money. I remember one time with Phoenix when I first started, for maybe my third or fourth year there, it was $100 buy-in to play poker. Now it's definitely expanded on where the big gambling game is called Blu-ray, where it's kind of like individual spades. If people know what spades are, that's where the money can get up a little bit and guts, and that's where. When I went to LA and then DC and then now a little bit with the Suns, where it's a common gambling game where that's where usually you can lose and make some money. And usually, to be honest with you, I know this might sound crazy, but it's really good camaraderie. And it helps just to get through flights and through up and down time.
But Jared, there are times, right, where guys playing, I think especially Blu-ray, which is the game mostly always played on planes or played a lot among guys, it's created some beefs on teams, like the whole Crittenton-Gilbert Arenas thing, I believe, started with that. O.J. Mayo, Tony Allen in Memphis a bunch of years ago was one. Is there almost every year like some squabble that comes out of cards, or is that still pretty rare?
Very rare. Very, very rare, just because I think it's changed a little bit through the generations. It's coming up now. Guys aren't doing it to make a salary. It's for more having fun, camaraderie. Yes, you can win a little bit, lose a little bit, but I've had no problems with any people, or I personally haven't seen anything, and I played on 5 different teams. Yes, you have heard some stories and stuff like that, and that's where it's key having the right vets around. So the vets police and patrol all that, so that's why a lot of these young teams, as you see the one team I play on in Phoenix, you got to have a couple of vets, because not only with cars, but just around the locker room and the bus, to keep everything even keel.
Well, the thing too, like, you think of the team you came in Charlotte, which was a pretty veteran team that you came into as a young player, and then as like the league has changed, as players have changed, and like phones, like I wonder for you, do guys talk less on the bus? Do they talk less in the locker room? Are guys just sitting more? Like I see it with my kids, with my son, like with his team. I remember they had a break between games or a travel tournament over the weekend, and like they had like to wait an hour to go play in the finals. And I'm looking at all of them, and like they're not talking about the last game. They're not talking about the next game. They're just sitting there liking on Instagram. They're watching the football game on their phone. Is that different in pro locker rooms, even from when you came in the league, about the way the guys interact? Because everyone has just been brought up to be sort of locked into their phone.
Great question. Definitely guys are on their phone, even myself. People definitely check social media, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. But I will say this, after games on that bus, win or loss, and even more so when you lose, guys do talk about the game. Especially teams I've been on, John Wall, Eric Bledsoe, even with the Clippers and CP. People talk, hey, how we lost. What were the reasons? What could have changed differently? Like, what were the reads of that? Now, on the way to games, it's very quiet. People are usually listening to music on Twitter, doing stuff like that. Even in the locker room, quiet music. It's more than music and on social media. But on the bus, you definitely, when you're driving from airport to hotels, to airport, people are talking, people are joking around, clowning, laughing, making fun, videos, who got dunked on. So there are more interaction than you think, but social media is definitely a huge prevalent in this league.
But I think even like when you were at Boston College, when you were in college, like mental toughness or taking it from, you might get taunted, like you go into Duke, right, and they're going to get on you, and they might have researched you and know something that you're surprised guys, like, college arenas, that goes on. Now, because like guys can get so caught up in, and like kind of see with KD here,
right?
Your mental toughness, if you are going to read all your mentions, if you're going to look at people's comments, that the fans have an access to you that they didn't have when it was just somebody yelling from the stands. Like, do you have to fight it yourself? Do you see it with certain teammates who do not handle that well, or as well as they should?
It's harder to be an athlete in today's age than it was back in Michael Jordan. Players definitely would have more trouble back then than they do now, in the sense of, you're right, they can get to you. I definitely see some players struggle with it. I think it depends on you're right. Mental toughness is huge, where a lot of people have a huge posse, entourage, they're in your ear, you have fans telling you you're not this, you want to prove, so knowing your role in the team is crucial, because there's always fans that think that, you're not doing enough, or you're doing too much. If you have a good game, Dudley, you should be traded. You're not worth your $30 million. You hear that all the time. So I think that it is crucial. And sometimes you want to be validated, but you got to know, like, these people don't even know you. You don't know if you don't owe them anything. So I think it's sometimes what I try to do is humble certain people with facts of trying to incite, a conversation. But I just think the young generation, the kids that are 19, 20, 21, they're not ready for that. And I would just stay away from it completely.
Are there times when you're not playing? Well, let's say you signed a new contract, or you get traded to a new team. You dealt with it in Washington. You were injured. You weren't playing, or the Clippers, it didn't go exactly the way you wanted right away. That when there's expectation for you, you come in and you're not necessarily immediately, for whatever reason, living up to it. That you just I can't look, or if you do look, it almost can become paralyzing, right? Like, 'cause then you keep reading it and look, and then I don't know, maybe they're right or maybe they're wrong. Like, is there a paralysis that can come from that?
I think every player it's about routine and that. So if you have a bad game or if something's bad going on, maybe don't look at it. Maybe take a couple of days off social media. Maybe look at when you only have good games. For me, I've been in the business long enough now. It's my 11th season. I can look at good or bad. I know if I play. I'm tougher on myself than I am. I know when I've struggled with the Clippers. I know if I played well. And sometimes your worth as an athlete isn't about you making shots of your stats. Like where my contract and me coming back to Phoenix is to be a mentor, is to show these young guys professionalism, habits. Because in 2-3 years when Phoenix is good, like how it started when I was in Milwaukee when they were the worst team in the league, and how I was on Giannis and Jabari and telling them their practice habits, and now to see them now getting ready to be one of the top 10 in the East, it's the same thing I'm doing now here and with Phoenix. So my $30 million, it's not about Jared averaging 10, 11 points. No one cares about that. It's about, hey, how can I make Devin Booker a better player? How do I get Tyler Ulis and Marquise Chris mentally ready so in 2-3 years when it's their time that the foundation's already laid and the habits. So I just think you guys got to be mentally tough, like you said.
At what point in your career was it doing this deal in Phoenix, 3 years, $30 million that you did in the summer of 2016? Was going back to Phoenix where you realized if I'm going to get paid in this league, if I'm going to have a role, if I'm going to be in demand, it's going to be because I have figured out, like you just said, it is more than the numbers I'm going to put up somewhere.
I figured that out in Milwaukee. It's a situation where back then a lot of players didn't want to play in Milwaukee, going to the cold. They were worse than Philly, and Philly was trying to lose for those 4 years, if you remember.
Right.
And they got Jabari, they got Giannis. I was starting, and with J. Kidd, and he was starting the veterans. And after about the 7th game, I think we were like, one or two games under 500. I went into his office and said, "Hey, J. Kidd, you got to start Giannis." He's like, "Really?" I said, for us to be good, he has to be the star we need to be. And he started him. And it took a while, but by the end of that All-Star break, we won 9 out of 10 before we traded Brandon Knight. And I knew for me going forward is, hey, it's to be a veteran player off the bench who can shoot a high percentage from 3, but is willing to take on the mentor role. Because now, most of the teams in the NBA, half are trying to win, half are trying to lose. So the teams that are trying to lose, some of them it's not purpose, they're just young. And if you're young in this NBA, you're not going to win unless you have 2 elite talent like back then with Harden and Russ and KD on a team. So for me to go back to Phoenix had cap space like a lot of other teams that were struggling, but they were young. And they want to play their young talent, so they need a vet that is willing to take a backseat but still get paid like a starter, which I was at that time, and be willing to mentor and take minutes. There was a year in December, I didn't play for a month. Jerry, I want you to sit down. No big deal. I'm going to clap it up. I'm going to help them out. I'm going to help out Dragon Bender. I'm going to help out Marquise Chris. And when my time comes, I'll be ready.
Go back to Milwaukee for a second, Jared. Giannis's rookie year, I remember going out and spending time with him for a piece, and we went over to his apartment. It was kind of overlooking the lake there, and his family hadn't moved there yet. And I remember he had the bedrooms for his mom and dad, his brother, sister. He had everything ready for them. But man, he was a lonely, so it's hard to be across the world at that age without your family but he was a lonely kid. I mean, it really jumped out at you because it just, like, as he was showing me around the place and explaining, like, he had the beds made for them with the covers and the sheets, and just literally, it was almost a little sad. What do you remember about him as a kid at that age when he had just come over here and all of a sudden starting to get a lot of attention?
It was like he was big eyes and bright lights. Like everything was so new to him through music, movies. He was like oblivious of the real world of what happened because he wasn't here. So a lot of, if you're watching movies like Friday, he didn't know songs and new dance moves. He was just a big kid. Now, he didn't reach his full potential early on. When I mean by reach his full potential, is like he didn't know how good he really was. I mean, he knew that he was going to be good, and we were telling him he's that good now, and that when they put the ball in his hand, there was no one that worked. There's no secrets that his worst part of his game was his jump shot. And like you said, how he lived in that apartment, he was the one coming in late night with his brothers, getting jump shots at nighttime in a practice facility in the middle of nowhere. He worked countless hours. And I remember, talking to J.K. now, he was grooming him. and how what he needed me and Zaza to help him out, to be physical, to let him see the ball from a mental standpoint. But this kid, he worked. He could tell he's gained weight muscle-wise, and we saw defensively, he's a superstar that doesn't care about getting embarrassed, which is very rare. He always wanted to guard LeBron. He always wanted to guard Melo, and he didn't care if you dunk on him. He's going to jump every time. It doesn't bother him. So, like how you said, mentally tough, he's a guy that can look at Twitter, and it's not going to bother him because he's going to give you 110%, which is very rare from a superstar player in the NBA.
Jared, if you were drafting a team for the next 10 years of the NBA, not today or tomorrow, but for the next 10 years of the NBA, is he the first player you take?
That's 10 years? I mean, I'm trying to think, how old is KD? KD's 27, so he's a little bit 28, he might be a little too old. Yeah, it starts with him, and then probably Karl Anthony Towns is involved now. We had this discussion on Twitter, so funny you mentioned it was him. People said him, Towns, Porzingis. You have to go with him because he hasn't even started to reach his prime. He's not even in his prime. He's too young. His body still hasn't fully developed to where he's at. He's about 2 more years and he enters. Once he's about 25, 26, that's when you usually enter your prime. So for sure, I mean, I expect him to be the first, second team All-NBA, and if they win, he'll be MVP candidate this year.
Yeah, what was like when you started playing with him? Like you go into, what was the first time you started spending time in the gym? How long does it take you to realize he's different? He's different. Do you see it right away?
You see it right away in spurts. Like when he gets the ball off a rebound, it takes him 2 dribbles to go the length of the floor. He's so long, so he literally Euroed from almost the half-court line against Detroit. I remember like it was yesterday, and everyone was trying to call travel, but he literally was Stretch Armstrong. And then defensively, how active he was. He cares. He wants to guard the best player. He goes after everything in his arms. He can get every steal. So defensively, he already had it. But now offensively, Jay Kidd said, hey, we want to put the ball in his hands because he's so unselfish, which I didn't know. I didn't know he could pass. I know he could get to the basket. So his jump shot, Jay Kidd didn't want him to shoot threes. So he would take him out of games. He would take him out of games if he shot, multiple threes and say, hey, get to the basket, let's work on it, and then eventually I will let you shoot threes. And it happened, and you see how he slowly, his progression. Everyone says shoot threes. Well, you can only do it if you're good at it. I mean, if you're a 25% three-point shooter, you shouldn't be shooting threes. I don't care if the league's about that or not. You got to go with your strength, and that's what Jay Kidd wanted him to do.
What's the difference between a great talent who comes up the way he did in Greece? There's no AAU programs flying you around the country. Nobody's recruiting you. I remember writing the story about him selling, like sunglasses and trinkets on the streets in Athens so that he could then go grocery shop and bring back dinner. And listen, lots of guys in the league grow up poor. That's not unique. But there's a system in this country that sort of separates you as a great young player and you, some of it impacts guys negatively, some, they plow through it and aren't, but there was a pureness, right, about him that was just different.
I would say now AAU basketball, and 90% of the time, they let you do what you want. So that's why I say majority of it's negative, because most players don't pass through it because they give you the keys, they give you the freedom. They say, hey, Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, they're giving you everything so much too early. That's why even in this league, we want the young guys to be ready. But look at Kawhi Leonard, but Paul George, it wasn't the first year, second year giving the keys. No, we're going to groom you in the system. Before it was Tim Duncan and Ginobili, and for Paul George, it was Danny Granger. It was a process of, hey, you got to work. Right. You got to earn this. And that's where I think today, where the European players, it's more earning, where they're grinding in the gym at a younger age, doing 2-3 days going against older people, and then I handed the keys. Like, I read something about Porzingis saying he wasn't ready early on, so he stayed 1 more year to get his body ready. And now look at his first year and impact. Giannis the pureness with him was all he cares about is basketball. And he loves Milwaukee. Imagine that. Someone who's young and is a superstar actually wants to be in Milwaukee. And it's a testament to himself and a testament that overall what the league is looking for is keeping their young, talented players with their team. And Milwaukee has that with Giannis.
You mentioned Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, like Fresno State, San Diego State,
right.
Not the highest recruited guys. Like, to me, that's the most remarkable thing about LeBron James to me, is that he was anointed at 15 years old in a way that we have seen a lot of guys in different sports anointed, and it is really, really hard to stay hungry, to fulfill that when you get so much so early. And I always admire that about LeBron, because you've seen it, Jared, like not necessarily guys with his talent, but when you think of how many guys who were recruited higher level than you were, a bigger deal than you were, and whose careers haven't, like there was benefit that you were a little under recruited and you go to BC and you have a great career. BC through the Boston College, right, through the years has so much of BC success has been that kind of a player, sort of under the radar, blossomed, gone on to good NBA, really good NBA careers and teams that took BC to the tournament. But there probably is something to be said for that at a really young age, to not have all that.
For sure. I mean, first off, what you said about LeBron, I think the most mentally tough superstar. And like I told you, you got to have your own method. His method is playoffs. He doesn't even look at social media. Locks in 0-300. He says basically, I'm locking in like a military. I got one mission. And for him to be so talented and still be on such a grind, that's why he's an all-time great. He's a rarity, and that's why after I think it was the Dallas series and how they killed him in the media and all that. And him to be able to come back next year and win it and beat OKC, it tells you about him. And for him, the Derek Jeter's, these are rarities. And when you have these ones, you just got to be able to respect it and just embrace it and enjoy his career as it is. And then for the guy, it's always about the underachiever, the guy that's under-recruited that has to go through it. The Chris Middletons that you see in Milwaukee, it's very tough to be anointed like the Chris Paul, who you knew was going to be good in the NBA, where you see someone like Darren Williams, who comes from nowhere, in Illinois with 3 All-Americans, and then makes it, and then has a big-time career, and then we're debating whose career was better, him or CP. Like, it's something to go through a grind, to be doubted. And that's where I think that, like we said, through social media, you've been doubted so much, and then sometimes you try to rub it in their face, and that's where you got to be even balanced, and it's tough. And who's here for you to teach you that? Is it your friends? Is it a veteran on your team? So that's why you want to surround yourself with the best people as possible.
Support for the Woj Pod comes from Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. They understand that home plays a big role in your life and family. That's why they created Rocket Mortgage. Rocket Mortgage gives you the confidence you need when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. It's simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. Whether you're looking to buy your first home or your 10th, with Rocket Mortgage, you get a transparent online process that gives you the confidence to make an informed decision. It's convenient. Our trusted partners allow you to share your financial information with Rocket Mortgage at the touch of a button. And in addition to getting a real mortgage approval in minutes, you can even adjust the rate and length of your loan in real time and make sure you're getting the right solution for you. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidence. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Woj. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030. Let's talk about hard work leading to being the best. Did you know that the tip of a Gillette razor is measured on an atomic scale, meaning their blade edges are thinner than a single brain cell? Over 1,000 craftsmen and women in Boston are busy making your blades. Meanwhile, another team is putting your blades through more than 60 extremely strict and precise quality checks. Fail just one of these tests and it doesn't leave the factory. In other words, the hardworking people at Gillette never stop working to make your blades better. And now that includes the price.
Come on, JJ.
You can get Gillette blades at the lowest prices in years. See for yourself at GilletteOnDemand.com. Gillette, the best a man can get. Pricing applies to select products, and it's at the sole discretion of the retailer. And now back to my conversation with Jared Dudley. Is it different now? Like, you talked about why you went back to Phoenix, or why they brought you back, why you had value to Ryan McDonough and putting that team, because they were going young, and you have a lot of teenagers around you, high draft picks who they want to mold Philly didn't have that when they were doing their rebuild, and you saw things play out in Philly with the young guys where it was almost like Lord of the Flies, like wherever we read it in school, where the kids sort of took over. There was no adult supervision. There was no one to show guys the way, and you saw how that played out. That they had a rough. That might have done in Sam Hinkie as much as anything. The stuff with Jahlil Okafor the year and just, right, some of that stuff. It's a fine line because you're rebuilding. You don't want to take on a lot of veteran contracts, but you just can't have a bunch of kids, and I think that's hard for people to understand. Some people understand when they look at the league.
Oh, I think GMs and scouts and presidents understand that. Literally, it's so funny you mentioned that Jahlil Okafor. Literally, I want to say a week or two later, they signed Elton Brand for that reason. They needed another veteran in there to police the locker room, to understand. And I mean, look, like this your perfect example. It's going to be the Chicago Bulls, very young team, the team that's upcoming. Like, you're going to have a veteran player who's willing to sacrifice playing time, that has somewhat success in the NBA, that's willing to help and nurture these players and talk to them. That's going to be a huge value for them. And so for me, is like that perfect example is I'm really one of my closest people on this team is Devin Booker, and it has nothing to do with him being our franchise guy and one of our best players. Is for one, for me, I take responsibility of looking after him, letting him know good decisions, bad decisions. Now, you can tell that he's been raised in a great family, has a great upbringing. He's humble, but yet he has a confident cockiness about him to make him great. But there's a reason where we go out to dinner, the conversations we have, talking about life. He just bought a home here, about his money situations, what's right, what's wrong. These are conversations you need to have. So the same conversation Steve Nash, Grant Hill had with me, it's only right for me to pass it down to help him to minimize the mistakes he can go through in his career. So a lot of stuff, the success you have off the floor through family and success on the floor.
You mentioned Nash, Grant Hill. Your appreciation now, starting your 11th year, for coming in, you got there, well, I don't want to say at the end of the Sun.
Hello? Fuck you talking about, nigga?